Well, hello, JC and Bethany.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't care which of you go first, but I'd like to know, from my listeners, where you guys grew up and when you started listening to music and that sort of thing.
Um, I guess I'll go first. I'm originally from New York City, born and raised Manhattan. I moved here after college because I don't do things right. And I've been here 20 years now. So
So you grew up in Manhattan?
for the most part, yeah.
Where about
Half
where
Manhattan, half the Bronx.
really? I lived on the Lower East Side for a little while in Queens. So you went to high school there?
Yeah, High School of Art and Design,
Nice. And
class of
then
97.
and you said you went to college in New York and then moved to Boston? That is
Yeah.
kind of backwards.
Yeah, I just, I do things my own way. So
What made you move to Boston?
you know what? I still don't know. I just wanted something different. I needed to get out of New York for a little bit, and a little bit turned into 20 years. I don't know what happened, but
Uh,
I love it here.
Are you right in the city of Boston or you're like in the
I'm in
area?
Somerville,
My favorite place.
mine too.
I lived there for 9 years, but then I moved away. And when I came back, the rents were too high for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's getting iffier every year. So
Did you get into like I know you're the drummer and did you start playing drums at an early age?
no, unless you count like pencils on a notebook tapping away. But no, I started at the second adult session of GRCB. Um, Thrust Club is my first drumming band experience.
Wow.
I never drummed before this.
Wow, you're answering that question before I even get to it. What kind of music were you listening to that made you even get involved in music?
Growing up, well, my mom was really into like Motown and like oldies, disco, a lot of Bee Gees in the house. But mainly high school was more like Nine Inch Nails, Garbage. Like I wanted to be Shirley Manson at some point.
Nice.
Whole like all those 90s bands.
Cool. And Bethany, are you from the Boston area?
I am. I am actually born and raised in Massachusetts. I'm from the suburbs. That's currently where I'm living right now, but I went to college in Boston and I lived in the Boston area for a long time. Just sort of making a temporary stop back home.
Can I ask you what suburb?
Yeah, sure. I live in Ashland.
Ashland. Okay, I'm out in Webster right now, which is
Oh,
further out in the suburbs than you are.
yeah, I know where Webster is. I went swimming in the lake there.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Ready? I'm not always good at this, but I'm gonna try. Lake Chargagaga Manchaga Bunga Gunga Mog.
Targagagog, Manchagagog, Chabunagungamog.
You know how to say it?
Yeah, it took years of practice.
Wow. Do you know what it means?
I don't know what it actually means. I know that the like rumored translation is you fish on your side of the lake, I fish on my side of the lake, no one fishes in the middle.
You're a real Massachusetts person. If you know about
Yeah,
Webster Lake.
I'm a lifer, I think.
I went to Framingham State too, which is right near Ashland.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I moved to California for years after that. But that's another story. So what about you? What kind of music were you listening to when you grew up, when you were growing up?
Well, when I was a little kid, my dad was really into Eastern European folk music.
Wow.
So I listened to a lot of that on vinyl. We also had some Bee Gees in the house growing up. My mom was introduced me to musical theater, so we had the soundtrack to The Sound of Music on heavy rotation. When I got a little older, I got really into ska and ska punk. So like Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake and Save Ferris, which was like my all-time favorite band. Like JC wanted to be Shirley Manson, I wanted to be Monique Powell, their lead singer. I thought she was just the greatest.
Did you say JC wanted to be Charlie Man? Oh, I thought you said Charlie.
Manson.
I thought you said, did you say Charlie by accident?
I might have. I think I said early though, but you know, it's entirely possible that my brain is not fully caffeinated yet.
I must.
I had a Charles Manson patch on my backpack in high school that I got in trouble for, so it all makes sense.
Yeah, I used to scribble Helter Skelter on my notebooks, and they thought that was because of Charlie too, But so how did you guys meet each other, and how did you meet the other girls in the band?
Well, we met, as JC said, at it was the second adult session of GRCB, and the way the program works for the grown-ups is you do everything that the youth do, but in 2.5 days instead of a full week. So basically, we all showed up on a Friday morning, caffeinated and excited, and JC and Sally had done it the previous year, so they sort of knew what to expect. But I was new, and our original keyboardist Bonnie was new, and so they just throw you in sort of a mix. You do some icebreakers, and then you form a band, and that's literally how Thrust Club formed.
I'm gonna talk to you more about that, and I missed where she said that that's where you met. Sorry. Did you always play bass when you were? Did you learn how to play bass like JC picked up the drums at?
Yeah, so I started out on guitar when I was about 13, and I learned it. I really started out as a vocalist. I was always a singer, and I learned guitar to accompany myself. Excuse me. And but it never really was like my instrument. I never really felt super connected to it. And then I learned bass at the adult session of GRCB a couple years later. When Thrust Club started, I didn't play bass. I was just the singer. There was no bassist. There was no bassist for the first like 3 years, maybe. JC, correct me if I'm wrong.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I got distracted by the cat.
Oh, kitty. Yeah, so one day I went to camp and I did bass and I really liked it, and I came back to Thrust Club and said, how would you guys feel if I started playing bass? And so I was playing a bass that I actually borrowed from JC, and that's how it started. And I really feel like bass is my true calling, bass and vocals.
And you two got locked in with each other, and the rhythm section was born.
Yeah.
Yep. It was meant to be.
So JC, you said you didn't play in any other band. You didn't play in any other bands either, Bethany, did you?
I had a band in high school.
You did?
I did. We were called Little Match Girl, and which is ironic because we were all female presenting at the time, but later on, several of the members went on to identify as non-binary or transition. So we weren't Little Match Girls. We were Little Match Humans. But we wanted to evoke that like sad emo kid feeling. But yeah, that was really the only band I was in until Thrust Club. And I was in another band called Sleep Crimes that formed 2 weeks before Thrust Club, just out of the blue. So for a while I was singing in 2 bands, but they both sort of started at the same time.
Nice. Now, I thought maybe I'm wrong about this. Did the band form in 2012 or was it earlier than that?
No, 2012 is correct.
And then you put your first record out, Greetings from Mount Thrustmore, in 2013.
Yep.
Okay, you guys came out of the box really good with that record, because I remember when that came out. And if my memory serves me correctly, I'm pretty sure I was at Galaxy Park in Salem. Or what? No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was in Salem then, I think. And I think Richard Marr mastered that record. And that's how I heard you guys.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
he was mastering the record. I'm like, who's this? Because I immediately, sometimes I know that expression riot girl gets thrown around a lot. So at that point in time, I kind of thought that's what you guys were. But as I listened to more, I realize now that I don't know, did you guys ever identify with that crowd, the riot girl crowd?
Um, Not intentionally, I guess, but I mean, we're very into it. Like we listen to
Yeah,
all
I
of it.
mean,
We're
yeah,
very influenced by it.
we're definitely very influenced by Riot Girl. So not unhappy to be put in that box, but it wasn't something we intentionally set out to do.
Right. That makes sense. That record, I've gone back in many times and listened to it. The first track, "In Thrust We Trust," is a great pop track. I also like "Are You Thrustworthy?" I'm having trouble separating my thrust and trust. Tell me about the process of making that first record. I know you did both the first two records at the same studio. What was it like when you first went in to make that record, and did you get what you wanted to get out of it?
Um,
Well, we just kind of went in like full force. Like we didn't question anything or think too hard about. Like it was just kind of like just get it done.
yeah,
Um,
we didn't really know what to expect. So other than, Adam, who recorded the album for us, was a friend of ours. So we were very comfortable going into his then home studio and recording. But, none of us had recorded before. So
well,
we
I
were
recorded with Adam
that's
PC
recorded
previously.
with Adam's band, Adam PC, but the rest of us hadn't
Yeah.
recorded before. So we just sort of went in and we're like, all right, we've got some songs. Let's play them a couple of times. And Adam, you tell us if we need to do it again.
And I was
Yeah.
looking at your show history, and I noticed the first show you played was at TT the Bears. That's a pretty good way to come out of the box.
Yeah, not intimidating at all.
Well, that's where they used to host the showcases for GRCB, or for the adult sessions anyway. So our very first show was the showcase for the adult GRCB session that we did, and which was at TT the Bears.
I
So,
really
but yeah,
missed it.
it was very it was a little intimidating to be up on that stage, but it was a great time.
I really missed that room. I'd moved away again, and it was gone when I came back, and I was sad about that. But in between 2013, right up to your second record for the Motherland, you guys were relatively busy, and you went down to New York too, right? Did you feel like you were building a good fan base at that time?
Yeah, my mom came to the show, so that was great. Our first show in Brooklyn that we ever played together, it was like there was no cover, so there was like a hat being passed around for like, give money to the band if you want. And my mom grabbed that and was like, "My daughter's in this band. You give them money right now."
Wow, that's a nice mom. I like that.
Yeah, she's great. So, but yeah, no, we've been trying to play more cities and like kind of expand our like horizon a little bit to get more fan base going.
Yeah,
It's hard though.
we're still always shocked when we see people who like our social media posts and we don't like personally have a relationship with them. We're like, wow, we have like a real fan, like someone who just likes us and doesn't actually feel obligated to.
Hey, that's where I came from. I talked to our booking agent. I said, "Get me that band," because I thought you guys were really different than things that were going on. And I heard the "What Does Your Congressman Want Me Dead" song, and I was like, I remember that band. And when I heard that song, I was like, got to get them on so we can talk about that. But going for the Motherland, pretty much followed the same. I mean, you guys like are more on those two records. There's a lot of pop appeal going on there too. It's not. I mean, some people might throw you guys into a punk category, but I hear a lot of the pop music, and it continued more with for the Motherland. I do have to ask you about what one song, because I'm wondering what's going on in the Soviet Space Dog song, because I listened to that a few times and I was trying to figure out. I couldn't figure it out. So maybe you can help me.
Sure. Well, we had done an interview where we said that we were going to, oh no, that was, we'd already written Soviet Space Dogs before the interview. But we basically were looking for things to write songs about, and somehow the topic came up that we were going to write a song about Soviet space dogs, like the dogs that Russia sent to, or the Soviet Union sent to space early on in their space program. And because our keyboardist Erin had been gifted a book all about it and was really into it and was like, we should write a song about this. So we wrote the music first, and we were sort of like, well, what's the mood of the song going to be? Is it a happy song? It's not really a happy song because the dogs, a lot of them didn't make it back, but some of them did. So we learned a lot about Soviet space dogs. And in the middle of the song, we decided we were going to list a bunch of the names of the dogs that went up to space. And we actually had a friend recently comment that he never understood the musical structure of Soviet space dogs and was trying to figure it out. And we told him the secret was that we wrote half the song and then we didn't know how to end it. Like we got to the bridge and we're like, what do we do after the bridge? And we're like, well, let's just go backwards. So what was before the bridge? There was a chorus. So let's put a chorus after the bridge. And then there's there was a verse. So let's put the verse after the bridge. And then there was an intro. So let's have an outro. And that's literally how the song was written.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I asked. You played a lot of shows. You played a lot of shows, I noticed, around the time of that record, and then you kind of slowed down a little bit. Was there any reason why you guys slowed down and didn't make another record, or were you trying to figure that out?
I think we're still trying to figure it out. We're not the most prolific songwriters. So it's just kind of been a slow process of writing new stuff, while still trying to actively play as many shows as we can and, just put ourselves out there. But we have a couple of new things in the works, but
do you guys write?
Bethany wants to.
Do you write all your songs together?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's why it makes it hard to.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it makes it hard to do it quickly, and why the pandemic really put a cramp in our style, because we couldn't all be together in the same room, so we just couldn't really write that way. And honestly, I don't think a lot of us were like feeling in the mood to write. We were all just in survival mode. But yeah, we write all our songs together for the most part. I think Why Does Your Congressperson Want Me Dead was something that I wrote based off of, or I wrote my part based on a riff that Sally came up with. And then I brought that to the band and was like, okay, here's the bass part and some vocals, let's fill it out. And but yeah, everybody pretty much writes their own parts, so it's a community effort.
I'm gonna reiterate some of the things that you just said, actually, with the next thing I'm gonna ask you. The song "Why Does Your Congressperson Want Me Dead" is 2 minutes of right smack in your face punk. And I know I mentioned Riot Girl earlier, and that song kind of fits more of that category than anything. 2020 was like a crazy year for everybody. I mean, how did you, I was going to ask you how you survived all that chaos, and if that song was clearly a result of all the chaos that was going on.
Well, we actually wrote the song in 2017.
Oh, you did?
Yes, but we didn't officially release it technically until, we were playing it live, but we hadn't recorded it in any way until 2020 or 2019. 2019. But we originally wrote it about the Republican-led effort to repeal Obamacare, and being that a lot of us rely, myself being one of them, rely on certain healthcare services to keep me alive that I wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. I was like, you guys are literally saying that you don't value my life and you would rather I be dead than pay for this. So,
And they're still saying that, actually.
and they're still saying that. This is why we still play the song. We thought we were like, we're gonna write this song and it's gonna be super timely, but then this will go away and we won't have to play it anymore. And it's 2023 and we still play that song. And it still needs to be played.
Yeah, I can relate. I try not to bring politics into my podcast very much. Early on, my crazy liberal attitude was shining brightly. But lately, I've been trying to keep it down, but it's hard not to talk about it when you have a song like this come up. So I don't feel like I don't really care if I offend anybody by talking about it. So it was basically geared towards the whole Republican Congress, which really hasn't gotten much better in this new term.
No.
Yeah. It's funny because we started out as a band being like, we want to write like fun party songs and like that's what we did. But it's like when it's affecting your life, like you can't not write about it. And that was sort of how we ended up at Why Does Your Congressperson Want Me Dead when we started out with In Thrust We Trust.
Yeah. I've heard the band referred to as a modern day dance punk band. Is that a description that you feel fits your sounds? Is that the best way you would describe the band?
JC, you want to take that one?
No.
No.
I have so much trouble like trying to describe us to people that like when people describe us to me, I'm like, sure, if that's what you get out of it, then I'm fine with that.
Is there a lot of dancing that goes on at your shows?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot, especially considering most of them are played in the Boston area, like a lot of dancing for Boston.
Is there a lot of bands in the Boston area that you guys like were playing a lot of shows with? I think I saw Power Slut on a few of your shows. I mentioned that because I'm talking to Linnea next week, and you guys played with them quite a bit, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're really good friends with Linnea, and we try to be as supportive with our other like musician friends as possible. So if someone's like, oh, I'm starting a new band, it's like, yeah, let us know when you're ready and you can open for us. Or, with Linnea and Power Slut, just at the time, it just worked out that we were playing a lot of shows together, but it was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, she's great.
Are there other bands in the Boston scene that you guys are close to?
Well, there's some bands we were, but they're now no longer, like Radium Girls.
Yeah.
Brooke Feinberg, the drummer. Yeah, we still share practice space. And who else?
Girl Skull, although they're still around.
Girl Skull's still around.
Yep. And they're buds of ours. And Sapling is a band that we all really like to go see, and when we get to play with them, it's awesome because then we don't have to pay cover to go see them.
I'm glad you still have a practice space, by the way, with all the things I've been hearing about practice spaces going away in the Boston area. It's very sad.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky that we have the space that we have.
Are you is your space right in Boston? Is it Charlestown or something like that?
We're at oh, go ahead, JC.
Studio 52.
Studio 52. Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize that was still there. Okay. I thought they were tearing that building down.
They did, or they are going to tear it down if they haven't already, but they haven't. 52 has a new space behind Mr. Music in Alston.
Oh.
So we're right in the heart of Alston Village.
Wow, that's cool. I wanted to talk to you about GRCB. Ladies Rock Camp Boston. For people out there listening, GRCB is an organization that states all members volunteer and believe in empowering female, transgender, and gender non-conforming individuals to express themselves through music, education, and performance. You guys seem like the perfect band to talk to about this, since that's how you met. So why don't you tell me all about this organization and how you first got involved in it, where you think it's heading, and also if you can explain to some of my listeners, because I think it would be good to hear you guys explain it. When you say gender non-conforming individuals, there's a lot of people that don't really understand what you mean. If you could explain that too, that would be fantastic.
All right. I'll take a crack at it first. So yeah, GRCB is exactly the organization that you described it perfectly. I think you're probably reading from the website, which is what I do every time I talk about it.
Oh, I had to read it. I couldn't have memorized that.
Oh yeah, I can't memorize things either. But yeah, I got involved because I had heard about the rock camps for girls that were happening in New York and in the Pacific Northwest. And at the time I was, I think I was probably 16 or 17, and there was no way my parents were sending me across the country to go to rock and roll camp. But I thought it was really, really cool idea. And then I heard they were starting one in Boston. And I said, well, that's, when I was 26 or 26. And I was like, well, that's cool, but I can't do anything about it. And then I saw that they had the adult programming, which they do as a fundraiser for the youth programming. And I just said, I just gone through a really bad breakup, and I was like, well, this sounds great. I always wanted to do this. I'm going to do it. And I just signed up. And that's how I ended up meeting all of Thrust Club and so many more wonderful people who were fellow campers and also volunteers. And I had such a great experience doing it that I immediately signed up to volunteer for the youth program in the summer. And I basically just was like, it was such a life-changing experience for me that I wanted to be able to give that experience to as many other people as possible. Like being a person of, or, all right, come on, brain, work with the coffee. So being a person who has been marginalized because of their gender, especially like, when I was younger, like playing in bands, we would get like, lewd comments from our fellow performers, like not just from people in the audience. And it was really like, it was not cool. And a lot of people just didn't like us because they didn't, quote unquote, didn't like music made by girls or people who were marginalized because of their gender in our society. And so I wanted to be able to give that sense of community and that sense of empowerment to as many people as possible. And that's why I still am involved with the organization, and I'm volunteering again this summer for the youth program. JC, you got anything to add?
Yeah, no, I had heard about the camps going on for the kids, and just kind of like, man, it's too bad I'm too old for that now. And then they came out with the adult programming, and I signed up immediately, and then kind of took a step back and went, oh no, what have I done? But I showed up, and I showed up. I went to the very first adult session of the Boston camp, and I learned bass, which was kind of a cheat because I'd kind of been playing bass here and there before that, but I actually learned how to play bass. And then, yeah, came back the second year, did drums, Thrust Club formed. And yeah, I've been just volunteering for the summer camps with the youth every year since, teaching bass, bands coaching. So yeah, it's like Bethany said, it like basically changed my entire life from going. And now I just try to give back to the rest of the community as much as I can because it had such an impact on me.
I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. Hilken Mancini was on my show about a year ago. Wasn't she one of the original GRCB? Yeah, I thought so. Do you guys know Hilken?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to do the punk rock aerobics in the Middle East basement.
I was too young to go to the punk rock aerobics in the Middle East basement, but I desperately wanted to go, but I thought I wouldn't be cool enough. And then I met Helkin when I started doing GRCB, and it was a trip. I got her book, the punk rock aerobics book, for Christmas when I was a teenager. And then I was like, you're in my book. And then looking around at the other people in the room who are volunteering and being like, you are also in my book.
I really love Hilken. I think she's doing it at a place called Faces now in Malden. They've doing the live thing again. She was doing it on the internet for a while, and I had her on it must have been a year ago. I've seen her play a few times since then. She's really awesome. I had a feeling she had something to do with GRCB in the early days. She's one of the originals. So did you say, or maybe I misunderstood, do you counsel to the younger women?
Yeah, so there's you can sign up to do different volunteer categories, I guess. So you could do a band coaching, which is you're essentially like, once the band forms, you're just there to like walk them through the process and, make sure they're kind of on the timeline of getting a song written and together in time for the showcase. So it is kind of like a counseling, mentoring situation.
And I didn't mean to just say younger women. Of course, I mean transgender and gender non-conforming individuals as well, because I know there's no rules about that. And that's one of the reasons I like the organization.
Yeah, we've been trying to slowly train ourselves away from calling them campers, or like, we're trying to just call them youth because it's more all inclusive. But it's hard to when you're switching gears in your head and you're like, oh, I used to say this and now I have to say this because it's better for everyone. So we're all just trying to change with the times.
Yeah, well, imagine being a lot older like I am and trying to take all this in. It's like a lot to, like, you don't want to say the wrong thing, you want to be politically correct here.
Yeah, I think as long as people see that you're trying, that's enough sometimes.
Yeah, we're all just trying to be as inclusive as possible with our language. And like JC said, it's been a switch, like we've had to switch some of our language around, but the end result is that it makes people feel seen and valued. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I hope these shows are happening that I have listed here. Are you actually playing a show next week, which I think on May 6th?
Yep. We are.
That's good, because I'm going to get this show out on May 4th. So we'll have a couple of days to promote it.
Perfect.
You're playing at the Bone Up Brewery Company. Where is that show, and what time are you playing, and who are you playing with?
That's going to be in Everett. We're playing with Radio Compass out of Salem and DNA's Evolution. And I think, what time does the show start?
I think the brewery opens at noon and the market starts at 2 and the music starts at 3.
Really?
I think, it's a spring bazaar, so there's going to be live music and also some like handcraft vendors and also some food. So it's going to be a nice little event, and I believe we go on first at 3-ish.
Yep, I think that sounds right.
That seems to be what I remember. But yeah, it's gonna be a really nice event. Hopefully the weather holds out for us because it is going to be outside. But yeah, people should stop by. The brewery is going to be releasing their warm weather summer beer. It's a hibiscus beer, if I remember correctly, and it's going to be a really nice low-key event, especially if you're a person who's like, I love rock and roll but I hate staying up late. come see us in the afternoon on a Saturday. It's perfect.
Well, I used to avoid Everett at all costs. But I mean, it sounds like there might be some cool things going on there now. I mean, you might see me there. You never know. And I see that you have a show on May 24th, which is my birthday, by the way, at the Silhouette Lounge. Thank you. Where is the Silhouette Lounge located?
It's in Alston, the Sill.
Yep.
They're
You may
starting to
know
do
it
shows
as
now.
it's known for its free popcorn, and it's been around forever. I used to live in Alston, not very far away from it, and would go there fairly frequently.
Did they always have shows there?
No, that's a
Okay.
recent development. Yeah, I was as surprised as you are to hear they were doing shows, but we have some friends who've played there and said it's been a really good experience. So when we were asked, we said, absolutely, let's do it. And it's going to be a really nice show with JC, help me out with the band names. I know it's Doom Lover and Daphne Blue Underworld.
Doom Lover. Cool band.
Yeah. And is it Really Great? Is that the other band?
Really great. Yes.
Really Great. They're called Really Great.
I think I saw Doom Lover at one of JJ Gonson's once Somerville shows. Cool band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited to finally play with them.
And there's one other thing that's really cool, the Nice of Fest. Did I say it right? Nice of Fest.
Yes.
I know karate, the Swirlies. When I saw that the Swirlies were playing, I'm like, what? They haven't played a gig in years. That's going to be epic. And Francis Forever. So that's a really good show. Is like it's a festival for 3 days. Is that what's going on? When are you guys
For
playing?
4 days?
Yeah, it's the 20th through the 23rd. I don't know that they've announced when people are playing yet, or if it will be announced.
Yeah,
When
they're announcing more info soon, but they've only announced the Thursday lineup so far, which we're not a part of, but it's really great because karate is headlining.
And that's Davis Square, right? In Somerville? Davis Square in Somerville?
It's the shows are going to either be at the Crystal Ballroom or at the Rockwell Theater. So both in Davis Square are both walking distance. We're really
run back and forth.
Yeah, you can run back and forth. We're really excited to play this. We've seen the Nice a Fest happen the last few years, and we're just really excited about it as local musicians and residents, and just getting to go see it. And now we get to play it, which is extra awesome.
Plus Davis, plus Davis Square is like one of the coolest places to go to hang out anyways. You can go to Diesel, get an iced tea, because I can't go anywhere without iced tea. And then, just, head over to the Nicer Fest. Is there anything else that you guys got going on that you want to plug while I have you here? Like, are you going to do any more recording? You going to do any touring or anything like that?
We're hoping to record again at some point. We do have a couple of things that we need to lay down.
We need to commit to track. I almost said vinyl. I just want them to be on vinyl. That's before I die, I want them recorded on vinyl from me. That's but hopefully I got a lot of time left to do that.
Are you going to go with the same GUV? How do you pronounce the studio?
Gov Studios.
Oh, so Gov Studios was my friend Adam Sissel. He now runs Dead Moon Audio out of the basement of the Armory,
right
here in Somerville. Yeah, so Gov Studios is kind of merged into Dead Moon Audio.
Was that the old Morphine studio?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good room. I know that room. Yeah, they had moved there. Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a lot of renovating, and it's a really great space. Yeah, I think a lot of people have started recording in there, so maybe us one day soon.
Nice. Well, I like your music, and everything I've heard has been cool, and I like your whole vibe and attitude and what you represent and all that. So I appreciate what you're doing, and thanks a lot for taking the time to come on the show and talk about the band and everything. And I wish you guys really good luck. And who knows, maybe you'll see me in Everett. You never know.
It's gonna
Awesome.
be my first time in Everett, so we'll see.
Nothing like Brooklyn.
Exactly. So thanks for talking with us.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
for having us.
My pleasure. You
Bethany,
guys,
did you wanna introduce Jeff real quick?
Oh,
Je-
I promised that I would introduce Jeff. If you're
okay.
familiar with the song Jeff Who Never Calls, this is Jeff. Jeff is a unicorn puppet that was gifted to us by a friend. And yeah.
Well, if you're
I
listening, people, you're going to have to head over to YouTube and watch the video on YouTube now so you can see who Jeff is. Because I personally think Jeff is a very handsome fella. There's no doubt
Aw.
about that. Was that a paw? Was that Jeff's paw that you stuck up there?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot, you guys. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.